So I'm going to start this off by saying this is going to be very different than a typical how-to information-based guide. In my phase 1 rogue PvP guide, I basically just took a bunch of popular builds and showed them to you guys. But some people accused me of just making up random information with no basis because I'm a noob. And while YouTube comments can be pretty weird sometimes, I didn't really understand what they were talking about until I did the research for this video. And now I get it because there are a ton of people actually doing that. So instead, I'm just going to show you the highlights of my research that I did to find out how to PvP on a rogue in phase 2. And literally zero of this information is originating from me. If you like this stuff and want to see more, remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it with PSHero's recent setup. I'm starting with him because his looks extremely standard. Nothing really weird sticks out at all. Generally, you'll notice a lot of these people just dump excess talent points into Master of Deception. And his runes also look extremely standard. I'm not really going to talk about runes that much because literally all of these builds use the same runes. There are some options to using other ones, but I'll get to that later. Next up is Payo. He mixes things up a little bit by getting initiative and improved ambush, no points in Master of Deception, and 2 out of 3 serrated blades, as well as very interestingly not getting 2 out of 2 improved Sinister Strike in combat. Typically you want improved Sinister Strike to take 5 energy off your quick shot, but to his credit, after you use a finisher you are at an uneven amount of energy, so it's not like a huge deal. You're not griefing yourself massively, but you'd still probably want it over 2 dodge. And following that here are Amazous' talents, the guy that does those meme videos. His PvP skill isn't the main focus of his content, so he's just kind of doing whatever he wants. He also goes for a double row 3, an interesting choice of not getting camouflage or imp sap or even dirty deeds. So I'm guessing this is an ambush every single opener build. And in the combat tree, also doing that no improved Sinister Strike thing and getting 2 extra points in precision for the hit. Moving on, here are Shobek's talents, which were really hard for me to find. Here we see Master of Deception actually maxed out over opportunity, so big emphasis on the stealth points. And speaking of stealth, I'm going to make a note on the 3 out of 5 camouflage. Payo had this too. In general, 3 points in this talent are pretty required. You want this to lower the cooldown of your stealth. Both players leave PvP combat after 6 seconds of no interaction. And stealth usually has a 10-second cooldown, so you can reduce that to 6 or 7, which, you know, with like lag or something, 7's fine. Here's Bobka's build, and he's going for a no-nonsense 0 row 3 setup. No improved ambush, no initiative. Because we're playing Mutilate, combo points are pretty easy to get, so initiative loses some value if you want to put those somewhere else. It's also only a 75% chance with 3 points. And if you really like cheap shot openers, improved ambush obviously does nothing. Along with that, maxing out Master of Deception. Bobka and Shobek do this, which makes sense because they do a lot of 1v1s in dueling, and getting the opener is critical in that situation. I'm going to show you some talent setups from the Rogue Discord. This one is attributed to Garlic Bread. We got another double row 3 setup, initiative and improved ambush. No points in serrated blades, and 1 out of 5 Master of Deception. And it's kind of good to have at least 1 talent point in there. That way if somebody's on the same stealth level as you, you very slightly outstealth them, which could give you the opener. Keep in mind the Gnomer tier boots have a stealth level on them also. Now this next one, this triple spec, is attributed to Insanity. The advantage of the triple spec build is that it gives you the highest damage on your mutilates, so if you don't really care about any of the rogue utility and you just want to play like a monkey and burn people down, this could be a good choice. But keep in mind that is one of the major strengths of the rogue class. You could also mix up the build and kind of do whatever you want, get more points in lethality or something. Now the next one, I'm not going to name this guy, but I'm going to show you an example of one of those made up for no reason video builds. I'm not trying to bully anyone, I'm just showing this to show how it varies from the meta. First we have a double first row, 5 out of 5 in both of them, entirely skipping camo, and then going into a 5-point row 3. Then skipping improved sap to max out serrated blades. This is extremely controversial, and the rest of the build is standard, but the 2 out of 3 points in improved ambush just makes 0 sense. He basically explains that those talents are useless, and rogues are so broken right now, they do so much damage that you don't need it. He also says that nobody is taking improved sap. By doing even a really quick Google search, you can find a mountain of information against all of this. Now I actually saved what I think is the best for last, and is my recommendation. That is Perplexity's setup, with a mixed first row, grabbing improved ambush and skipping serrated blades. It's a pretty standard setup, and personally I like this, Bobka, and PSHero setup the most. And between the 3 of them, I think you could pick whatever you like best. Some people like initiative, some people don't, but Perplexity puts a huge focus on swapping your runes depending on the situation. We as rogues get to pick our fights, and so you can gear swap to whatever you think is best for the situation and be more prepared going into it. Knowing how and when to do this is a pretty advanced concept that he touches on in this quick 3-minute PvP guide video you should totally watch. I'll put a card forward in the top right here, and he's working on a much more in-depth video in the future if you're interested. In summary, I would say we have a wide range of specs here based on how you want to play. If you just want to turn off your brain and spam battlegrounds without really thinking that much, there are some options for that, like the Amazous build, the Payo build, and the triple spec build. But rogue damage is not insane enough to be bursting people down without insane gear, and you get an additional 30% HP during a battleground or STV event, so it will take you some time to kill people. And making use of the rogue utility is great for that, like the classic blind into sap or even improved gouge into sap. Improved gouge lasts 5.5 seconds, and since you leave combat after 6, you can use it to cheese another opener against a bad bad player. So if you want a mix of damage and utility, I recommend a more standard, well-rounded spec like PSHeroes or Bobkas. And then if you literally want to be rank 1 in the world and win duel tournaments, Bobka talks about it on stream a lot, and Perplexity's content is great for that. Perplexity offers some outside-the-box solutions like swapping to Poison Knife for kiting and using it like Shiv to apply your poisons that can really help you win whenever you have a losing hand. But that's a lot more advanced, and so if you're spamming battlegrounds, you can always just die and respawn. At the very least, every creator featured in this video is entertaining, and I watch them regularly. If you want the exact sources for the information, like the Twitch clips and stuff, it's in my Discord. And consider liking and subscribing if you want me to do more of these, where I basically just show you the meta with proof. I usually do this research just by myself and come to my own conclusion, so I could convert it to a video if you guys like. That way you can make your own choices instead of just copy and pasting what I tell you to do. But I'll see you guys later. If you want to learn more about Rogue, I have a big Rogue School playlist here.